because you want the original video rather than a copy of the video or video that was on social media, because videos on social media lose metadata and lose therefore valuable information that can help you assess whether that video is trustworthy and has integrity. Once we had that, we then passed those videos over to a team of digital experts who then analysed them, got all the data from them. When we had social media, which does not have the metadata, they had to do further examinations to ensure that what it appears to be is exactly the case. It is a video that was taken on this particular day at this particular point. And so from there, we then give it over to an arms expert who looked at the arms issues. And from there, we then gave it to a video expert who then looked at it in slow motion and highlighted particular bits, and that was how the video was made. We have a former military officer who has expertise in that area, and then in terms of the technical parts, it's 𝗥𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗶cie Initiative, who did all of the technical stuff, and then in terms of the video, it was Outsider TV. Well, we have spoken to present police officers, but not specifically for these particular investigations, for other work that we've done to try to find out about issues of command and control. But our focus in these videos was just to determine what actually happened and try to create a narrative, a true narrative of what happened to the person, what the law enforcement officers did, how a person or people were killed, what weapons were used, those kinds of issues. It's very difficult to investigate command and control, who gave orders. That is obviously a piece of work that needs to be done. If you look at the videos, it's very difficult to actually identify specific individuals. So there was obviously in the 𝗤𝗲𝗺𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗶cie film, the one in 𝗂𝗶𝗵𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗀𝗃, there is a clip of a police officer waving at the person who is filming. And that person is probably identifiable by the police officers in that area. But we haven't done that piece of work. That piece of work needs to be done. Well, obviously they were horrific. I mean, over a period of 3 weeks, we're talking about hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 people were killed by law enforcement authorities. The difference between the evidence relating to the 1971 war and the killings here, of course, is that there was no video evidence of those killings. They took place, but you had to rely on eyewitness testimony, which is much more unreliable, much more difficult to get. And of course, it was many years earlier. It was decades earlier when the trials took place. So people's memories had been lost. Here, of course, it happened very recently. We have a lot of video evidence, and there is a government in power now who is facilitating the investigations. People want to assist in the investigations. So there's a lot of positive reason why these trials should be much more successful than the previous trials. Obviously, the prosecutors and the investigators, we hope, have learnt from the problems that existed in the trials relating to 1971 and can ensure that these are credible trials that won't result in controversy and that people can feel justice is obtained. It's an extremely difficult issue that the government has in relationship to law enforcement, because everybody in the country is aware of what police officers and other law enforcement agencies did between July the 16th and August the 5th. They saw it on the television, they saw it on videos that then went viral. And so they know that this was the responsibility of law enforcement authorities. How does the government then ensure that the current law enforcement authorities who are in power now are free from stigma or responsibility for those killings and are a different set of personnel? It's very difficult to create that because you need to train officers. There may not be enough police officers. It's also difficult to distinguish between those police officers who had committed crimes and those who hadn't. So it's an extremely difficult process, and I don't envy the government to try and work out how to create a law enforcement bodies that have the confidence of the people of Bangladesh as well as being able to do their job properly. Well, I think the evidence is going to find the answer to that question. I think we all have an understanding that we imagine that the orders came from the top, but it has to be determined by evidence of Hopefully there'll be evidence of people who were with 𝗥𝗶𝗴𝗵𝘁 who will provide evidence to law enforcement authorities. Hopefully there may be other phone evidence or communication evidence that will assist in trying to answer that question. Because obviously that is a crucial question. The law enforcement authorities didn't just do it by themselves. There has to be people telling them or ordering them to do particular things, and it's determining what orders they were given and by whom and how far up within the previous Awami League government the orders came from.